Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa, and I'm one of the student ambassadors here at Otonabee College. And today we are going to be interviewing Professor Kim English from the nursing department. How are you doing today, Professor English?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So today we're just going to be asking some questions so that first year students and just students in general can get to know you as a person and not just as a professor here at Trent University.
Sure.
So if you just want to start off just telling us about what department or departments you belong to and what courses you teach here at Trent University.
So I mostly belong to the nursing department, so the Trent Fleming School of Nursing, but I am also a fellow of Otonabee College, which some of the nursing faculty are, and I belong to the Trent Center for Aging and Society as well as a member who might be doing some work with the aging populations in the area.
That's amazing. Sounds like you got your hands full with a lot of
Yeah.
projects.
Yes.
So how long have you been here at Trent University?
So I have been part of the School of Nursing for 19 years, so almost since the start of the school itself.
My goodness, and over your 19 years here, have you found that there's one thing that you love most about Trent, whether it be the academics, campus?
It's hard to narrow it down to one thing. I would say that it is absolutely the campus because it is a beautiful campus. I also would say the kind of the nature of it being a smaller campus. So it's small, but it's not small. It has a very small feel in that it's very easy to get to know other faculty and staff around the area. Different areas that you might frequent, and even student relationships. It just seems to be a very small and connected world, which I love.
Oh, I feel it's definitely a very enjoyable, relaxing campus to do work on. It's very motivational too, how beautiful
Yes.
it is here. So I know personally, because I've had you, I know that you teach some first year nursing courses. If you had nursing students, first year nursing students watching this, what's one thing that you would like them to know about yourself?
I think I would say one thing to know about myself. First of all, is that I'm also a learner. So I find that teaching is a relationship between both of us. So just as I might be sharing some information, you also have information to share with me. So I learn in every interaction that I have with students. Maybe there's something I hadn't heard about before, or you're coming from a different geographical area, and so we can make some comparisons. So I think it's it's that relationship between the two of us, and that we are both on a journey together and learning with each other.
Now, going off of everything you just said, is there a tip that you have for students?
I think reaching out and communicating with people, whether it's with your nursing peers. I think that your nursing peers in your classes become such a vital part of your development as a nurse. There's people that I went to school with in my initial preparation that I'm still in contact with now. And so they become such a vital part of that relationship, and you're on this journey together. But I think also reaching out to your faculty, because again, it's part of that, having that conversation and developing a relationship. And I think back to the numbers of graduates from our program over the years that I'm still in contact with, who are from some of our early classes, whether it's because they reached out for references or they're working here locally, and I've seen them and know what they're doing. And so it's part of that. Nursing is a big profession, but we're also very connected, similar to the description of Trent. And so this is the first step in developing those relationships. So reach out, and whether it's just to come by, you don't have to come with just a question or a problem. Just come by and say hi. We were talking about this in class. This is really exciting to me. I'd love to sit and talk more about this. I mean, that's a great opportunity for both of us to have those conversations.
No, and I completely agree. A lot of students kind of just look at those office hours as opportunities to ask questions, whether it be about content or whether it be about assignments. But this is also a chance to get to really know the professors, know who they are outside of just that 1 hour, 2 hours of class time.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
going off of everything you just said, and I know nursing, a lot of it is about therapeutic relationships and building those bonds with individuals. After you've taught students in first year, how would you want them to describe you to incoming nursing students here at Trent?
I think I would want them to describe me as approachable and flexible and maybe a facilitator. I found the past 2 years with the pandemic hard because I'm not somebody that likes to sit and lecture. I prefer to facilitate conversations. And so I would hope that students would describe me in those terms, that I'm somebody that you could go to and have a conversation. And I welcome people having a different opinion or different thought, because I think that that's a great opportunity for us to explore and have those conversations. And so that's how I hope I would be viewed moving forward.
No, I feel like that's a really good way to look at it, because you always want to look at more of a peer and a facilitator rather than just a professor. You want to know that you want students to know that you're not just there to teach them and for them to move on. You're there to really facilitate their learning and help them move forward in their career here at Trent and moving past Trent. So is there anything like non-academic projects or anything just outside of being professor that you're currently working on? Any projects?
I have a couple of projects. So my particular area of interest is with rural and remote nursing and preparing nurses to work in those particular settings, because it's a unique set of skills and a unique opportunity. So I have a couple of projects taking place right now, one of which is a virtual exchange with a university in Texas, where we have a group of students from Canada and a group of students from Texas who are learning together. And so we're comparing rural nursing and rural health in our two different countries and looking at similarities and differences. And that's been just a great, we just did it for the first time this fall, and we're doing it again in the winter. Has been a really great and eye-opening experience for all of us. And then my other project that I am engaged in right now and trying to move forward is looking specifically at remote practice, which would be with fly-in communities. Because there, as we see the nursing shortage happening all over the place, it's even more critical in smaller centers. And especially in centers where you don't have the same pool to draw from to develop nurses. So trying to highlight the leadership and innovation of nurses in those smaller settings that already exist, and find ways to provide support to those nurses, because for a lot of students, it's kind of scary to think about going into that setting as a new graduate. So I'm working with a few Northern Ontario communities and also the territory of Nunavut to look at ways that we can better prepare and support and develop nurses to work in those areas.
That sounds amazing. You're really trying to look at those like social determinants of health and see how we can really better fight those like social inequities and really kind of balance out everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So learning more just about you as a person, what made you decide to become a professor?
I don't know that I actually made a conscious decision. I think I kind of fell into it, to be honest. I was working in the GTA, in the Greater Toronto area, in a large acute care hospital at the time. And an opportunity came up. At that time, many nurses were diploma prepared. So they did not have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and the movement was towards Bachelor of Science. So a number of universities were offering programs. And it just so happened that Laurentian University was coming to the hospital that I was teaching at. I had gone back to school at that point to do my BSCN, and was just about to embark on my master's degree. And Laurentian needed people to teach at our facility, and they asked if I would be interested. So I did some teaching for Laurentian, and then I also did some teaching for X University, formerly known as Ryerson University, which I'm a graduate of, and did some teaching for them also as a part-time basis. So I was teaching nurses who were practicing, who were going back to school. And then an opportunity just arose around that same time for a full-time position with the Trent Fleming School of Nursing. And I just sort of ended up jumping down that path because I loved doing that work.
Just sort of accidentally fell in love with teaching.
Yes, accidentally. And it's funny because in some of the classes, my colleague, Dr. Gilmore, and I will talk about the whole notion of career planning and how neither one of us ever had a plan for our career. We've just sort of had things pop up and thought, okay, I'll try that out and I'll do something like that. And I think a lot of nursing is like that opportunities arise, new roles come out, and, rather than putting yourself in a little box of a path, it's great to be able to say, I'm going to jump on board and take that opportunity because it sounds really neat.
I think you're like the hallmark for, you can have a plan, but that doesn't mean your plan is going to work out
That's
exactly
right.
intended.
Exactly.
The world has ways of getting you to where you're supposed to be, and this is just kind of how the wind shifted you.
That's very true.
So in your opinion, what's the key to doing well in your undergrad, whether it be nursing or just the general degrees here at Trent University?
I think it again gets back to the communication and creating those connections to have conversations, asking questions. I will often say with students that questions are great because sometimes things seem very clear to me in my mind, but if it's not clear to you, then I need to do a better job of trying to convey that. So ask questions, make sure that you're clarifying information, and it's really important to be present. And I know it's very easy sometimes to not go to class, but sometimes there's so many great things that happen in class that it's just, even if it's Monday morning at 8, which is as painful for us as it is for you. It's such a great opportunity sometimes just to be able to have those conversations and hear other perspectives and develop those relationships. So I think that being present and asking those questions are keys to success.
No, and I think you hit it right on the nail there. It's mainly about like communication and really like investing yourself in these courses and really engaging, because it's that engagement that'll make you like really motivate you to actually want to learn more and want to do these assignments.
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for having this interview with me. If you don't mind, I have one more question.
Mm.
So whether it be for first year students in their last year, in your opinion, like what's the best advice like you've ever received, whether it be as a student or as a professor? What's the best advice that you can give to the students?
The best advice. I think the best advice I would give is always to it's coming from somebody else, but it's sort of that notion of thinking with your head and leading with your heart, and kind of pulling together, when you're in a situation, how is it that you feel about that situation? Sometimes our minds kind of work through things a little bit differently, but if we go with our intuition and our feelings about a situation, sometimes that leads us down the path we were intended to go. Just like you said, you kind of end up where you're supposed to be. That it's really important to think about that intuitive sense that we have about events, whether it's, for a nursing student, an event that you're thinking, this doesn't feel so good, I need to act on it, or whether it's an opportunity that comes your way to be open to those opportunities.
So really using the aesthetic way of knowing, I see.
Yes. Awesome. Very good.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and talking to Otonabee College today. And I hope that the students out there finally know that Professor English is not just there to teach you, but also to be an ally in your career here at Trent University.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you so much for coming.